The situation in Rivers State, where you have a divided house, has now created a gap in the polity of the state. Two sides of the House of Assembly have been functioning separately, making it difficult for a united front. Joining us to discuss the unfolding political situation in Rivers State is Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Wahab Shittu. A pleasure having you with us on the program.
My pleasure being here. Thank you for inviting me.
Now, what is your interpretation regarding the crisis going on in Rivers State?
Well, the unfolding political situation in Rivers State is worrisome, sad, and a threat to our democracy. The question that we should ask ourselves is that what manner of democracy are we actually practicing? Are we practicing democracy by the rule of law or democracy by the rule of the jungle? If we are practicing democracy by the rule of law, then all actions of all authorities, all persons should be governed by the provisions of the Constitution. So the starting point is to examine section 1, subsection 1 of the Constitution, which says that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is supreme. And section 1, subsection 3, which says any actions that is done contrary to the provisions of the Constitution will be null and void and of no effect. Now the question is to ask is this: as we stand now, has any member of the Rivers State, the seat of any member of the Rivers State House of Assembly been declared vacant by INEC? The answer to that question is no. And if you look at the provisions of section 96, subsection 1, as well as section 96, subsection 1A, and section 98, subsection 1, and section 98, subsection 2 of the Constitution, if you read all of it, it's clear. You cannot form a quorum of any State House of Assembly without having 1/3 of the members present. That's section 96(1). Section 96(1)A says if you want a inaugural sitting of a State House of Assembly to be properly constituted, first sitting or inaugural sitting, it must be 2/3 of the members. Now, section 96(2) says of the Constitution says that there's no action of the State Assembly that can be competent except you have 1/3 of the members present. The question to ask is, what is 1/3 of 31? Of course, it's above 10 and less than 11. So clearly, any decision taken by 4 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly is a gross illegality. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the question we should ask is, do you have a culture of impunity taking place in Rivers? Of course it is. And this is not to take sides with anybody. The best way to be able to resolve this issue is to resolve it by reference to the Constitution. You understand what I'm saying? So 4 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly cannot take any decision by virtue of the fact that the membership of the current Rivers State House of Assembly is 31, and 1/3 of it are all decisions by virtue of section 98(1) and 2 can only be taken by a simple majority. So if you look at it, don't read the provision, everybody can read. What is going on in Rivers State now is illegality, a subversion of the rule of law, a subversion of due process, and everybody should go. Because if we don't allow the rule of law to operate, so the alternative is descent into anarchy. Now the question you should ask, that's what the Attorney General has done. Now he has done the most honorable thing by resigning. I don't want to be part of this illegality. That's what he's saying. I don't want to know whether I'm not talking of the politics behind what is going on here, because there's a wide gap between politics and law. And this is a democracy by the rule of law, not democracy by the rule of the jungle. You understand me? So I think the security agencies and what they are preparing now is a state of anarchy.
So the issue of the lawmaking process does not even arise now, because even with, especially with the 2 factions.
No. Clearly, the 27 members have said they have defected.
Yes.
Now, that defection can only be, assessed on two basic questions. Now, you have to ask whether there's a division within PDP, which is a question of fact. If there's a division within PDP and they now defect, then you can say that defection, they can retain their seats. But if there's no division within PDP, then that defection will be legal, and INEC will be entitled to declare their seat vacant. Now, that is something that I cannot sit down here and pronounce whether there's a division or not. But what I'm saying is that clearly 27 members is a majority, and then you cannot legislate the legislator. You cannot do anything that will legislate the legislature out of existence.
Okay, Mr.
You understand me? Because under the presidential system of government, all the three tiers of government have a role to play. Okay. And so I think the governor on one side and the legislatures on the other side must find a way of reaching an amicable resolution of this crisis before Rivers State is thrown into a state of confusion. And it is not enough for the presidency to stay aloof. No. The Attorney General of the Federation, that I know to be a man of impeccable integrity, must reassert the law. Government must wade in, not on the side of taking sides with anybody, but on the side of the rule of law. But this might also be necessary for the Attorney General to pose a constitutional question before the Supreme Court to determine whether 4 members can legislate for Rivers State House of Assembly.
Okay.
Clearly, that is a subversion of the Constitution. So that before this country is thrown into confusion, because a threat to security anywhere is a threat to security everywhere. So we should not overlook what is going on in Rivers State, and we should critically intervene to ensure that rule of law is restored, and that we do not have in our hands a rule by the jungle.
Okay, Mr. Shittu, finally now and quickly too, if you can, let's look at one of the thorny issues, which is the demolition of the State House of Assembly complex. Is it binding on the governor to rebuild the facility within a given time?
I want to say that the demolition, given the circumstances, is also an exercise in illegality. You don't demolish the House of Assembly. I mean, summarily, the way it has been done, you see that it clearly is to prevent the members from meeting. That is also not envisaged by the Constitution. The governor does not have the powers to do what he has done. And if he must carry out that, it must be by virtue of consensus by all the parties. Clearly, the legislatures are not in agreement with what has taken place. And the clear implication is that the governor is trying to prevent the legislatures from. If he wants to do that, if the governor wants to fight for his rights, he should do so with respect for the rule of law.
Okay.
Not by taking the laws into his hands.
Okay.
Yes.
Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Wahab Shittu, a pleasure sharing your thoughts with us on the program.
My pleasure always. Yes.